Welcome to the Vegematic Show. It's been a while. Welcome back. You have somehow stumbled into the difficult to find stuff on YouTube. And with that in mind, this week, the Vegematic Show will begin a new feature, a small channel of the week, where I will showcase one small new channel, new or small, doesn't matter.
Are you guys ready to go for a walk? Are you guys wanting to hit the streets?
Yes!
Let's hit the fucking streets!
I'd like to really thank all of you for your kind comments on the last video. I have been fighting, like I said, to try to keep on the sunny side, the bright side of life, and it's a struggle sometimes, but hey, I'm here back. So it looks like all the right-wingers in the world are suddenly discovering two words: socialism and Venezuela. Two scary words to shock people that they might actually have some social democracy. I mean, other than that social democratic post office and the social democratic fire department, the social democratic any service basically. And it is quite hysterically funny to see all the right-wing pundits these days predicting the doom of America due to socialism. And none of these people really can tell the difference, or purport to not be able to tell the difference between hardcore communism, socialism, social democracy, and they just like to lump it in with this whole big scary specter of people in bread lines. And breadline Bernie is hysterical. That is really stupid. As if there weren't bread lines already known as soup kitchens and homeless shelters. But don't talk about alleviating that, because that won't make America great again. But what does it say about a nation where 25% of the population believes that God ordained Herr Drumpf to run the USA? Maybe it was a punishment or something, maybe it was from on high. It's like, oh, he got tired of floods and fires and shit and just gave that guy, here, these idiots will actually vote for him. So that's pathetic. 25% of Americans believe that God himself or herself, whichever your preference is, ordained him. He came down from Mount Sinai and said that gave him the wall order, right, on a set of tablets. As I was saying earlier, here is a feature from a young fella. He's got a small channel, and this is what I want to do with my show, is every week now feature another small channel, because these channels are up against behemoths, and it was so refreshing when I come across a small channel and somebody with a message. You can't easily find any small channels. It's really, really tough, and it's getting tougher. So I thought that if I can use the little bit of subscriber base that I have to spread some of these smaller channels, then hopefully it'll work for all of us. And if any of you out there have a smaller channel that you would like me to do a little promo for, you're welcome to put something down in the comments there and tell me you got a channel, and I'll check it out. So anyway, here's this week's channel, small channel of the week. There's a fellow named Kyle, and he's a very, very astute young man. Hippie Kyle. Well, he's young to be a hippie, but it shows that some traditions live on, and it's good to maintain traditions of non-conformity. And yet the guy has a lot of wisdom to share, and I really believe that this is a channel that you should check out and subscribe to. And anybody, please send me ideas for small channels that I may not know about. Because after a while, Ring of Fire gets tiresome, and all this stuff just gets all the same, all the same, all the same. There's a homogenization of YouTube going on that is distressing for anybody who is trying to do something a little alternative or a little bit different. You will be buried if you start a new channel these days. You will be completely buried. So the only hope that we have of making YouTube a little more like it used to be, featuring just regular people, not big stars anymore. No, don't want to see those big stars. We know all about them. Don't want to see the big name news shows. Don't want to see any of that. Want to see some creativity from some small creators. So with that in mind, here is Hippie Kyle.
When you feel lost, to not always take these feelings and emotions as bad things. Like, often we associate fear, sadness, all of these things as negative, but we feel them for a reason. And so what I mean in this situation is, when I feel lost with myself, this is a reminder to me that I'm unbalanced in an area in life.
So do you guys know much about the 5G network coming soon? It's a surveillance grid that could only have existed in science fiction a few years back. They are planning to put little transmitters everywhere, on everything, outside your home, outside the store, and it will follow you around as you drive your car, and it will know everything about you. It will track you. It will classify you, and you better have a good excuse for every penny you spend once that cashless society comes in. No private money anymore. Everything's got to be done in public. Everything. Cash, man. I am still using cash. I will use cash as long as I can, because it is such a last bastion of freedom to be able to spend money without having your purchases tracked and your profile built based on purchases, based on your search history, based on your phone history, based on, it's unbelievable how this net has ensnared us over the years, and we've barely noticed, and we just had fun with the technology and think, isn't this fun, isn't this harmless? But I saw a long time ago this coming, because those that are in positions of power and money is their god, unless Trump is their god, and I've actually seen Trumplings write that in the comments, Trump is my god. Well, if you want to make Trump your god, I would suggest that you have some serious psychological problems that should be dealt with forthwith. I'd like to say hello to two old friends that grew up with me on the west island of Montreal, Tony and Marco. How you doing? We just talked to each other for the first time in almost 40 years, I guess, or 40 years, something like that. And this is always kind of an interesting thing when that happens, because it jogs your memory and you can be transported back so many years, and some of it's good, some of it's not so good. But it's an amazing thing that people don't change all that much over the years. Generally, your personality, I guess, is set by a certain age, and you continue with that for most of your life, and then you get like a little kid again before you die. I guess it's kind of an arc thing that happens. So I'd like to thank everybody sincerely who left me a nice comment and a comment of encouragement, because they knew I was going through a pit-like experience. It's up and down, and it's mostly been down lately, but I'm working on it, and I'll get through it. I'm delighted to announce this week that Cindy Matthews of the RevolutionContinues.com has actually succeeded in working with other activists to pass the Erie Clean Water Bill of Rights. This is a fantastic piece of legislation that attempts to save Lake Erie from the polluters, from the people who would despoil the water and destroy it. And it was passed in Toledo. So here's to the Rust Belt city of Toledo, and here's to Cindy Matthews and her tireless activism on behalf of Lake Erie. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure all of the people that are watching this. Whatever happened to a compassionate society? Most people aren't horrible. At least the ones I know aren't. So why is it that the most horrible among us rise to the top? Somehow we've gotten away from any sense of responsibility to each other. And this happens as dog-eat-dog economics come into play. If you're struggling to survive, then it's hard to find time to be an activist, to do anything but run on that hamster wheel and try and keep your head above water. And it mutes the concerns of so many people. If you're too exhausted to fight back, then the forces of darkness will overcome the land, overcome the world, and we will be hopelessly lost. But as long as there's a spark of hope, as long as there's a spark of knowing that there are good people, the good people out there want to stop this, the possibilities are absolutely endless. Private prison corporations are terrified that their source of slave labor may be drying up with these crazy young kids and their socialism. Da, 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 da. Everybody's so afraid that they might have good medical care for everybody in the country. How are you going to pay for that? Where's the money going to come from? This from the most bloated military budget, huge tax cuts. Never ask where the money's coming from for that stuff, do they? No, there's always money for war. There's always money for billionaires. There's money just sloshing around at the top, and there might be a bill or two that comes down into the hog pit, which is what they consider us normal human beings. There's got to be some sort of compassion taught again in the world. People seem to have been so brainwashed by technology, it's so embedded within them that they're willing to accept anything. Things that 20, 30 years ago would have been unheard of, unthinkable, impossible, are becoming reality. Fascism is on the march, not only in America, but all around the world.